Hello, my friends. This is Jeannie. Welcome back. If you are a first-time visitor, welcome and thank you. So, I have been talking to myself, apparently, for the past, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. I thought the camera was recording. It was not. And by the time I realized that it was not, I was well into my journal. So, I am going to catch you up to where I am, and then we will continue from there. So I apologize that we seem to be starting in the middle of something. I had meant to share the whole process with you, but we will go with the flow. It is what it is. So I am working on my Wizard of Oz journal. If you watched my last video, I mentioned that I was waiting for a book before I could start the project. The book arrived, I got the measurements, and so I was able to cut down the papers, and I want to share the two signatures that I created with you, and then I will share with you what I have done so far to the book. So let me put the book to the side and share the signatures with you. I tend to make my journals pretty chunky. I tend to do two signatures. I mean, honestly, with the number of pages I put in each signature, I can probably create three, but two is what I do, so that's what I'm going to continue to do. I did decide that I am going to make two journals, one where I am repurposing an old Wizard of Oz book, and a second where I will be creating the cover from chipboard and basically just constructing the entire cover. That will be a separate video. In that video where I construct the cover, I am going to be using the Graphic 45 kit that I showed in my previous video. And in this video where I'm repurposing the book, most of the papers are digital downloads and papers from, I think it was Paper House, might have been the paper pack that I shared, the other Wizard of Oz paper pack that I shared in my last video. In any event, if you missed that last video, I will throw up a card for that right here, up here somewhere, usually right there, and you can go check that out. That video also has all of the links to the various Etsy shops that I purchased digital kits from. Those kits have been printed, cut up, and mixed with everything here, so I really don't recall what papers are from what Etsy shop. So if you see something you like, most definitely just click on the links, and eventually you will find the product you're looking for. So let's start with the signatures. I'll do a flip through of what I have done so far. The cover of the first signature is actually the from the 12 by 12 paper pack. They have that one sheet of paper, the thicker cardboard paper in the front that just has all the information about the kit. I'm actually using that. It had this pretty image on it. It's just an amazing image, and I definitely wanted to use this image. So I just cut down that information sheet from the pack, folded it over, and I'm going to use that as a cover for one of my signatures. I will go in and cover this up and pretty this up later on. These are just my bare bones signatures. There will be other videos where hopefully I will remember to share with you how I embellish these signatures. But this is paper from the 12 by 12 kit. I love the 12 by 12 kit because it is double-sided paper, so it certainly makes my life easier. This is a digital download, which I folded so that the image of Dorothy was on the outside. like this. I hope that makes sense. So this page I'm going to have to work on. These are some paper. I have doily and filters that I avocado dyed. This is more paper from the 12 by 12 kit. Some copy paper that I colored or I dyed using some hot water and food coloring. More of a digital kit right here. This is a digital kit. The other side is a digital download. I think this is from TaylorMade Creations or Expressions. I forget which. Again, I will link everything down below so that you can follow. But what I did was I printed on one side of copy paper, flipped the paper, and printed on the other just to make life a little easier for me when I'm embellishing. Here we have some coffee dyed graph paper. This is some, oh my gosh, vellum. Is it vellum? I think this is vellum. I don't, oh, no, acetate. My goodness. This is some yellow polka dot acetate. I had a 12 by 12 sheet of it, so I cut it down. Just some nice red cardstock. More of a digital download. Here I have coffee dye paper, another digital download. This is a digital download. This is a digital download. This is some journal or ledger paper that I coffee dyed. So each signature has somewhere between, I don't know, 13 to 14 pages. This is that digital download I told you, or I mentioned that I bought. It was a 12 by 12 digital kit that I printed on 8.5 by 11 photos. So I printed on 8.5 and 11 cardstock. So really when you cut the image is 8.5 by 8.5 square. What I did was I just cut it, leaving a white border to make up that difference. And what I will do is I will disguise that white border down the road. So that was my solution to that kit, because I wanted to use the kit. It's a beautiful kit. So my solution was just to leave an extra border on the pages, and then I'll go in later and cover up that border. So this is the back half of the journal. I do have quite a few pages that are not double-sided that I will have to go in and decorate, but I think for the most part I'm pretty happy with that signature. Here's the second signature. We have Glinda, the Good Witch. She is going to be the cover. This is paper from that 12 by 12 paper kit. I think it's Paper House. I'm almost sure it's by Paper House. Beautiful double-sided paper. This is all from that same kit. This is a digital download. This is more of my coffee filter and doily paper that I dyed. These papers are very similar to the pages in the first signature. This is more of that acetate. Can't wait to play with that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but this is a digital download. This is more of that coffee dyed paper. This is a digital download. Hope I'm in frame. Digital download. The back of it is also a digital download. This is coffee dyed ledger paper. And then this is the back half of the journal. So a lot of different types of papers, a good base for me to start with. I will create some pockets and some journaling spots, some flip out elements. These are the two signatures that I have, and as I decorate those, I will share that with you. Now, turning to the book at hand. Oh, guys, I'm so frustrated that I didn't record what I did up to this point because it was, you know, it's not something I can go back and redo. This is the only book like this that I have, but let me catch you up to what I did do. So I received the book, and the first thing I did when I got the book was I gutted the book. I removed the pages as one block, so I have a nice book block. And let me see if I can reach. Yeah, here's the book block. This is how thin or narrow the spine was. That's obviously not going to work for me, so that's why I had to remove the book block and cut the spine off and create a new wider spine to accommodate my two signatures. But I am left with this block of some really beautifully aged papers, and there are some illustrations in this version here of Wizard of Oz, but I may or may not incorporate. I'm trying to find one here for you. I may or may not, there we go, incorporate them into my journal. They're a little faded, so I don't know how I feel about them. I think they're kind of hard. Well, under this light, they're pretty clear. But they're throughout the book. And also the paper is very fragile, so I don't know that I want to necessarily mess with these fragile papers. It could be a little frustrating dealing with the fragile paper, but we'll see. I'm sure I can incorporate it somehow. But anyway, what I did to widen the spine was I took some chipboard, and I knew I wanted a 2-inch spine, wide spine, so I cut it so that it was 2 inches wide, and I cut it to the height of the book, which in this case, this book is 3 3/4 tall. Then what I did was I used some Tyvek. If you're not familiar with Tyvek is it's a paper product, but it's not normal paper. It's coated. It's the same type of material that's used to create the priority mail envelopes that the USPS uses to ship their for shipping. Now, I am not encouraging you to go to a USPS store and take the envelopes and use them for your journal making. That is illegal. I buy my Tyvek on Amazon, and if I get packages in Tyvek envelopes, I will recycle that Tyvek. But what I will not do is go pick up these envelopes from the post office with the sole purpose of using them in my journaling. That's a no-no. So I definitely would not encourage that. I will link the Tyvek envelopes that I purchased down below. If I can find them, I will drop a link down below, and you can go check them out on Amazon. So what I did was I used that Tyvek, and I basically wrapped it around the entire book. Once I, lined up the two covers and the spines, I lined them up with that chipboard in the center. I left a small gap, probably about 1/8 of an inch between, so that there's plenty of give to fold. If you butt them right up next to each other, you're not going to get a proper closing on your book. It's just going to be horrible. You need to leave a little bit of a gap, and you can kind of see it. You see it? You see it there? That's the gap that I left. I wrapped the Tyvek around the entire book, and I used double-sided tape to secure the Tyvek to the book. Then I also left about, I'm gonna say about 1/4 of an inch extra to go over on either side, so that it's definitely secured to the book covers. Now what I am doing is covering the white Tyvek with some fabric. I showed my Wizard of Oz themed fabric in the last video. I auditioned that fabric and decided to go with the blue gingham here that is most associated with Dorothy's dress. And the reason I went with this is because if you look at the illustration on the book itself, you see Dorothy right there wearing her little blue gingham dress. So I thought this would be fun and a nice match to use. And I cut it wide enough so that it does cover the Tyvek. And I do realize, you know, there will be this raw trim on the edges here, but I thought what I would do was, once it dries, I would go in with some of this yellow ribbon that I have and clean up the edges with the ribbon, just like that. So that's when I realized, I was gluing the fabric on the book when I realized we are not recording. So hopefully that all makes sense. I am not the first to do this project. It's a very common process, I should say. I can link, you know what I'll do? I will try to find a video by Diane H. She is a channel I follow here on YouTube, and she does a lot of junk journaling, and she shares this process over and over and over again in her videos. I will try to find one of her more recent videos where she showed this process, and you can go check her out and see for yourself, because her process is very similar, if not exactly, to what I do. In fact, I've adjusted my own process based on her videos, so definitely someone I would recommend. I will link her down below. You can go see for yourself. So I was at the point where I was using some fabric tack to glue the fabric to cover the Tyvek. So I cut a strip of fabric that's wide enough to cover the width of my Tyvek and long enough to wrap around the entire book on both sides. Then what I do to help with the process is I fold over a short end and glue it down, right? So that's glued down, and that'll basically make sure that I keep the rest of my fabric nice and tight, and also helps to line it up pretty darn close to perfect. So that's, you know, a little tip that I'll share with you. So now let me go ahead and put some of this glue. I love my fabric tack. Love, love, love my fabric tack. Let me put some along here too. I like to make sure I get the edges. There's nothing worse in my book than edges that roll up on projects or don't stick the way they should. So I'm just going to go ahead and smooth this out. I have a brayer tool here. I'm going to use that as well. Certainly don't need a brayer, but I have one, so I am going to use it. And you want to put just enough of the glue to adhere to the fabric, but not so much that it is going to completely soak through. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. if you do get a thick blob of glue, just spread it out. Use your fingers. What I do is go to the edge of the fabric. I'm going to fold over and just put a line of glue across there. Make sure everything is going to be nice and secured. So now I'm going to bring this over. So I hope you're all having a beautiful, wonderful, relaxing Sunday. Yes, it is Sunday. Today is my birthday, Sunday the 26th. I am 47 years old today. I had a wonderful, wonderful day, very relaxing. My husband went to his writing lesson this morning, but when he got home, we did have lunch together. He took me out to a lovely dinner at one of my favorite restaurants. It was very nice. So I'm feeling very full right now, but it's a pleasant kind of full. I did not overeat. I am not a big, we went to a sushi restaurant. I'm not a big sake fan. My husband is a big sake fan. But every time we do go, he tries a different type of sake. And I always try. It's not that I hate all sake. It's just I haven't found a sake that I liked. And today he ordered one. I tried it and I actually liked it a lot. So I had a nice, healthy glass or two of sake, which was nice. And so really, it's just been an awesome kind of day, awesome birthday, and I have absolutely nothing to complain about. He also took me to the Pandora store and basically said I could select 3 charms for my new bracelet. This is my new bracelet, and what it didn't have were I don't know what they call them, these little spacers in between each bracelet to help keep the charms. I don't know if that's going to focus, but they help keep the charms from rolling back and forth and getting scratched and damaged. I didn't have those, so I got 2 of those, one for each of the joints of the bracelet. And I got this one right here. I know I'm taking a moment out of my project to share. Why not? And I got this one right here. I bet you it's not even going to focus, but that's okay. And then I got this one, which I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and they came out with this Harry Potter collection. So that is the Hogwarts Express, which I added to the Harry Potter and Dobby charms that I bought myself not too long ago. So that's my birthday. Awesome day, awesome day. So that is the cover. Check that out, guys. Doesn't it look good? Right? Then if you fold it like that, it's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. Nice white spine. It's like super big right now for my 2 signatures. But once I start filling these pages, it's going to be perfect. I used to, when I had for the 2 signatures, make my spine 1.5 inches, but 1.5 just wasn't enough. I was still getting like that crocodile open mouth, gator mouth, I think is what they call it, on my journals, which I'm not a big fan of. So I graduated to the 2-inch spine, and I think this will work out perfectly. Check that out. These will fit beautifully. I have a template. Don't ask me where it's at right now, but I have a template that I created And that'll be a separate video, but I have a template I created for the 2-inch spine that'll let me know exactly where to put the holes. So, but that's a project for another day, right? So what I thought I would do, because now we have these raw edges right here, I thought we could cover that like this. And I thought maybe if I cut it long enough, I can wrap it around to the other side, and that would be good. And then I wouldn't have to replace, I can keep these papers on the inside of the front and back cover. I thought if I cut this long enough so that it can wrap around, I won't have to cover those pages. So I'm going to need two. I cut one. Let me use that to measure out the second one. So if you make your own journals, what is your preferred method for creating the covers? Do you, are you strictly the type to recycle old book covers, or do you create your own covers using chipboard or cardboard or some other material? I would be interested in knowing. I would say that I, for the most part, tend to be of the type that creates book covers using old books. I like to just, it's easier. And I'm all about easier. I'm really all about easy. No sense in reinventing the wheel. Actually, what I should have done. We'll do it both. But for my pink peppermint journal, I did, wow, this is like not cooperating with me. I did, here we go. I did create that cover from scratch. Basically decided that I was gonna do it. And I did. And it turned out really, really nice. So was glad I did it. So I started by applying the ribbon on the inside, and I think now what I will do is give that a second or two to dry while I do the same thing to the other side. I think in terms of making your own cover, it's definitely ideal, because think about it, you're not limited by the size of a book. You basically, or pre-existing book cover, you basically create your own. So which is why I'm actually creating two journals here, because what I found was the Graphic 45 paper. So the Graphic 45 Wizard of Oz kit that I have, and which really motivated me to get off my butt and do this, that paper was a 12 by 12 kit. And the paper is beautiful, but the images are pretty large. And I thought I would be able to cut it down to use it in this book, but really I was losing a lot of the images. The papers were just, I mean, they're beautiful papers, and I felt like they weren't being used to their fullest potential by cutting them down, you know, to that extent, which is when I decided, okay, why am I, stressing myself? Why don't I just create two books, one where I use a pre-existing cover and the other where I create my own cover. So the Graphic 45 paper, I cut that much larger to basically save a lot of the images. And so I'm going to create, that one's going to be a much larger journal than this one. So that was my solution. It'll only be the second time ever that I will be creating my own journal cover, and I will film that process. I will, and share it with you. I think this time what I am going to do is put it on this way so I definitely get it on all of the ribbon. I will be using some of the wonderful Wizard of Oz fabric that I showed in my last video, which, by the way, I went back and looked at my older videos to figure out who sent me that beautiful fabric, and it was Virginia's Story. So thank you, Virginia, again for that amazing fabric. And I believe it was she sent it to me, I think it was in 2016, if I remember correctly. I linked that video in my last video. So that's how long I had this fabric. Okay, bring this over to the other side. That's how long I had it. And look at that, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And as I said, my original intention, and it's still my intention with that fabric, is to create a messenger bag. But there's certainly and most definitely enough of the fabric where I can use some of it to create a journal cover. So that worked out well for me. I think I'm using a little too much glue here, but that's okay. I'm getting a little glue happy here. That's really nice, really nice. I'm going to turn her over. Oh, another thing I did for my birthday is Ella and I went and we got a manicure. We don't do anything crazy. It's just basic manicure with some basic nail polish. But it was fun. One, because I was with her, and two, because I haven't had a manicure in like forever, probably in over a year. It's just something I just don't do. No real reason. But I asked her if she wanted to go. She said yes. So we got to spend some time together doing that, which was awesome. And then afterwards, we walked over to the Goodwill store, which was in that same plaza strip. And I found an awesome book. Maybe if I have some time at the end of this video, I'll share it with you. They didn't have much else. And then from there we went to Carvel, got some ice cream, and we walked. Everything was in walking distance of my home. We walked back home and spent some time together having our ice cream. So that was pretty awesome. So that is the cover. Check that out, guys. Look how nice and finished that ribbon makes the edges look. Doesn't like that just looks wonderful. And I love that I was able to preserve the original liner paper, the inside of both the front and back cover. That's very nice. Here's the other side. There it is closed. We did cover up a little bit of the lion's face. Oh no. But that's okay. It's only a little bit. I will figure out something to do here to cover that up. I have some rosettes made out of some vintage fabric. It was a, not rosette. Yeah, it was a quilt yo-yo, not a rosette, a yo-yo. Diane H had found this amazing quilt made out of yo-yos, and it was vintage, and she cut it apart and she put some of the yo-yos in her shop, and I purchased some of those yo-yos. I got like 100 of those vintage yo-yos. They're awesome, and they are now part of my arsenal here in my craft room, so I might use one of those to cover up here. But I think the cover looks great. What do you think? Okay, and then this in there would be perfect. So I think this is going to look amazing. What I will do is in future videos, I will share with you more of the process. I need to make the holes here for the signatures. I also need to add the ring so that I can hang my charms from. I have to figure out a closure, although I think I might stick with a very basic ribbon wraparound, so I'm not too concerned about the closure. And then I think that will do it for the cover. I don't really want to mess with this cover too much. It's beautiful. The illustration is beautiful. I just don't like that, but you know, you already got a sense of what I'm going to do with that. So I will share that in the next video. I will also share the embellishing of my signatures. So I think that is all for this video, my friends. I think I have a little bit of time, so let me share with you. Let me see, where are we? 37 minutes. It's not horrible. So this is the book. Check this out. This is the book that I found at my Goodwill store. It is called Penhaligon's Scented Photograph Album, The Language of Flowers. And it's from 1992. It has this amazing, amazing cover. This is fabric. It's just beautiful. So I would use this cover as is, maybe just change this here somehow, but the inside is absolutely gorgeous. It is a photo album, and I have seen other people haul these types of albums. So the pages are super thick, and on one side you have this beautifully illustrated page, and it has an opening to slide a photo into, and the way you slide the photo is there is an opening on the back side of the page right here where you can slide an image into. So there are quite a few. The entire book is that way. In between each one is this kind of super thin, almost like a wax paper consistency, to protect the photos, I would imagine. So I bought it just because it's just so unusual and I fell in love with it. But honestly, not sure how I would repurpose these pages. I'm obviously not going to put in photos, and this is super thick. I definitely know how I would repurpose the book itself, the cover of the book, but I'm not sure how I would repurpose these. Something I have to think about. But it was only $3, $2.99, the Goodwill. So that's why I got it, even though I didn't quite know what I was going to do with it. So if you have ever seen anyone take one of these books and alter them here, if you want to drop a video link down below, that would be awesome. Or if you have any ideas on what I can do with this book, that would be awesome. I suppose, you know, these are thick enough where I can cut them and use them so that each of them would be a cover to a book. That would mean reinforcing it with chipboard, which I can very easily do. So I'm brainstorming as I'm showing you this book, and I just had that idea. What I could do is cut the page, create a mirror template of this to back it up and make it even sturdier, and they can be covers of a book. I could even put images in between each of the pages and the chipboard, kind of like a sandwich. I'm having all kinds of ideas flowing right now, but if you have any ideas or have seen videos where someone did something with one of these books, and you're able to, definitely link it down below. But super happy I got this. It was the only thing I purchased. They had a lot of milk glass at that Goodwill store, but I am maxed out on space. I don't have any more room for any more milk glass, so I left it all behind. I did pick up actually one other book, and it was a recipe book on making all kinds of dips. So I added that to my cookbook shelf upstairs. You know, that cook shelf that I never reach for any of the books on that cookbook shelf, but you never know. One day I may become a real Betty Crocker and decide that, hey, yeah, I'll start cooking, sure. But that day's not here yet. But I'm prepping for it. I'm prepped. I have all kinds of great cookbooks up there with wonderful recipes that I've never tried. So that's where we're at. So we are most definitely now done with this video. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I truly do appreciate it. And again, I apologize that the first part of this video is lost, but hopefully I caught you up to what I was doing, and I will link one of Diane's videos down below so that you can go check out her process. A lot of my process has evolved based on her videos, and she's just awesome to watch. So definitely go check her out. I will catch you all in the next video, my friends. Until next time, bye-bye.